Hey guys, Matthew here, and today I'll be bringing you guys the second edition of the Is Delirium Worth It, or How Worth It Is It? Today I went ahead and ran 6 hours of 20% Delirious maps, and I'll be showing you guys the results. Now, as you can see, our stash tabs are actually empty, and the reason for that is that after my stream, I kind of blanked out and threw everything into my cell tabs and whatnot. So the results are actually going to be via my stream, because this is at the end of the stream before I kind of did an oopsie. So we can see here on the total net worth that the tabs were 1600 chaos. Now 1600 chaos is the value of the two tabs that doesn't consider either maps or bases. In terms of maps and bases, we had about 300 chaos worth, so that we'd have to add that up for a total of 900 chaos, and then we remove the initial investment, which is the same thing as last time. We had about 150-ish chaos worth of currency, but then also we had a little bit, a few Delirium orbs that I already had. So if we consider those, we have to remove about 200 chaos, which means that we made a total of 1700 chaos of pure profit over the course of 6 hours. Now, if we actually remove the bases, we would have to remove another 100 chaos. And if we remove the lucky drops, I dropped 1 exalt and a 6-link chest that I sold for 4 exalt for a total of 5 exalts, which we would have to remove 400 chaos if we were to remove all lucky drops. So our actual pure profit in 6 hours was 1200 C if we count only the things that you're pretty much guaranteed to get, right? Like the simulacrum splinters, the maps, the actual like crappy uniques, like the 1020 C uniques, stuff like that. 1200 C, and I'll go over the methodology of what I ran in a minute. So over the course of 6 hours, that is 200 chaos divided by 80 chaos per exalt. We made a total of 2.5 exalt profit per hour running 20% Delirious maps, which if you've seen the video of the 0% Delirious maps, that actually means that we made pretty much exactly the same amount if we don't consider lucky drops. Now, if we consider lucky drops, we actually made the same amount of if we consider lucky drops for the non-Delirious map. And that to me doesn't make sense. Now, is that a problem with my testing? No. The testing was done in the exact same way. The big difference here is the actual price of Delirium orbs has shot up, and the price of the scarabs that I was using also shot up. So let me give you guys a quick rundown on what we were doing. We were running T16 burial chambers and 20% Delirium, and what I decided to do is I went with a medium orb, and I wanted to use the same one every single map to make it as consistent as possible, and I decided to use the fine Delirium orb. Now, a couple days ago, these orbs were like 7 chaos each, and they were really, really good to use. Now they're more in the ballpark of 12 chaos each if you really want to buy them efficiently, and at 12 chaos each, that is almost double the price of a few days ago, and making those chaos each on a map-to-map basis, which only takes like 4 to 5 minutes to run, is very difficult. So I would actually go out on a whim and say that over the course of 6 hours, if I take only the drops that came from these fine Delirium orb against the price of these fine Delirium orbs, I lost money, and that is including an actual exalt that dropped from this fine Delirium orb. So what I'll be doing in the future tests for the 40% of the 60%, since I don't want to keep losing money, that's awful, I'm going to be using the cheapest Delirium orbs available. Now, that's actually going to be pretty cool because it's going to give us a contrast of maybe using worse Delirium orbs just because they're cheaper is actually going to be a better idea. It will, of course, make it a little bit less consistent between one test and the other, but I mean, I'm not going to keep running tests if I'm losing money, right? That's kind of boring. So other than that, we are running 2 scarabs, a rusted harbinger or a polished, depending on which one I was capable of buying. They were pretty much the same price, 2C each, and the same thing for the elder, but the elder scarabs have actually shot up to 3C each. 2 days ago when I did the last test, they were 1C each. So that's another big thing. Instead of spending 1 chaos to throw on your map and get those extra juicy monsters, you're spending 3 chaos. And over the course of the entire thing, in terms of elder bases that are sellable, I probably got maybe even less than 50 chaos worth. So I definitely, at least in terms of just pure bases, lost money running these elder scarabs. Now, why is that? Quite frankly, it's because bossing this league is really, really, really good. So there's a lot of people running those other bosses, Elder Guardians, Shaper Guardians, Shaper, Elder, etc. Especially paired with the 9th Atlas tree, which gives you those bosses twice and all that, and they always have a chance to drop more influence items and stuff. you end up in a place where, honestly, unless we're talking about the pure T1 GG bases, Elder bases, as much as Shaper bases, have dropped down in value to a point where they're almost not worth picking up anymore. So again, that's probably where we did an oopsie, and we actually more than likely ended up losing money over the course of the 6 hours with these rusted Elder Scarabs. So going forward, I'm actually going to change that up for some rusted Breach Scarab. Breach actually add quite a bit of monsters to your maps. Breach have been buffed. And there's also the fact that some of the Breach uniques are actually pretty good right now. For example, the amulet from Xoth is worth an Exalt, which I haven't seen in a very long time. The amulet from Tull is actually worth 4 Exalts. So there is some pretty good money to be had from Rusted Breach Scarab. So in the next test, I will keep running these Harby because I think there is value there. They do drop a fair bit of Exalted Shards and Ancient Shards as well. But I will actually move on to Rusted Breach Scarab instead, and hopefully we get some better results. As for the Delirium Orb, as I said, I'm going to be using the cheapest ones possible. And but to make up for that though, we will have to invest a decent amount more in the 40% Delirious, as we will have to actually force on that Poison Sextant to abuse the poison self-poison mechanic, as we will not be able to clear 40% Delirious otherwise. So that's pretty much the result. We pretty much made the exact same amount of currency as we did in the last test. And as I said, I attribute this to higher prices on the Elder Scarabs and the Fine Delirium Orbs being pretty lackluster. And that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the results. Before I go, I want to say, as always, a huge thank you to my supporters: Cluzy, Luro, Gaikona, JW Player, Scott, Justin, Alex, Ollie, Matt, Kevin, Bit, Axel, and Hayden, as well as anybody else who has supported me in the past and anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. I greatly appreciate your support, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.